What if I told you that the next billion-dollar startups, the next green energy revolution, and the next food global powerhouse might not come from Silicon Valley or Shanghai, but from Nairobi, Lagos, and Accra? And yet, most investors are still asleep on it. But you're not most people. Stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you'll be able to understand why Africa is not just rising, it's roaring. And how you can be able to position yourself before the world catches up. Stay tuned. I am Miss Wangui Muithathi, your personal finance and investment coach. And today we are talking about one of the most overlooked wealth building opportunities of our time. And this is investing in emerging African economies in 2025. You see, back in 2010, people still spoke of Africa as potential. But fast forward to 2025, and that potential is cashing in. Picture this. In Nairobi, a tech startup builds mobile banking solutions reaching remote villages. In Lagos, a solar energy powers entire rural towns. In Accra, digital farmers trade crops using blockchain. And this is just the beginning. We need to ask ourselves, what's really driving this boom? Let's break it down. Some of the key drivers are technology adoption, things like mobile banking, e-commerce, and AI in logistics. Infrastructure projects, for instance, roads, ports, and smart cities. Another key is population and consumption. A young urbanizing population equals to rising demand. Some of the spotlight countries are Kenya, which is leading in fintech and green energy, Nigeria, which is leading in entertainment, tech, and agriculture boom, Ghana, which leads in political stability and digital governance, and of course, South Africa, with things like FinServe, retail, and industrial strength. An investor once told me, the higher the mountain, the deeper the valley. Africa offers high returns, but also high volatility. This is the double-edged sword. Greed will make you rush in, and at the same time, fear will keep you out. But when you have something like clarity, now that gives you an edge. There's pitfalls, of course. Some of these pitfalls are political risks. Elections can cause temporary chaos. Currency swings, instability, of course, can erode profits, and bureaucracy. And this is because regulation is evolving and not yet streamlined. So, why do some investors still win big? Let's explore some of the secrets. Here is an example of a real story. A US-based fund invested in a Nairobi-based agri-tech farm in 2017. By 2022, their stakes had tripled thanks to a boom in food exports. Another example is a Ghanaian American entrepreneur launched a solar startup and secured funding from Europe and the AU, and by 2024, they were powering more than 30,000 homes. Some of the strategies used here are venture capital and private equity. This is for things like tech and infrastructure. Another strategy is debt financing. This is for things like renewable energy and construction. The last strategy they use is micro investments. These are group-based crowdfunding in agriculture. But you may wonder, with so many sectors, where should you focus first? Let's try and figure out where the gold is hidden. Some of the top sectors for you to watch out for are tech startups, solving real problems, and fast adoption rates. Another sector is renewable energy. These are Kina solar, hydro, wind Africa. These have raw resources. Another one to watch out for is agribusiness. And this is because food security is the next oil. Some of the emerging trends are digital healthcare, sustainable tourism, and EV charging infrastructure. But even with all this potential, you'll still find most people failing. Why? And this is because they ignore the human factor. I once watched a Western investor walk into an East African deal room with spreadsheets and walk out with nothing. Meanwhile, a local investor built trust, listened, and finally landed the deal. There's quite a few lessons learned here. One, you need to understand the culture. Okay? Relationships over numbers. Two, work with local partners. And this is because they decode the terrain. And three, ESG awareness. Africa doesn't just want your money, it wants your impact. And if you're wondering where you fit into this story, don't worry, we're getting there. Let's have a look at how you can invest in Africa. Start small. Look into things like Pan-African ETFs, mutual funds, or diaspora bonds. Join platforms, VC collectives, investment clubs, or African angel networks. And finally, do your due diligence. Check with local regulations, taxes, and currency protections. This decade will make legends out of those who acted early. Question is, will you be one of them? Africa isn't just the future, it's the now. Investing here in Africa isn't charity. And of course, it's not speculation, it's strategy. I am Miss Wangui Muithathi, your personal finance and investment coach, and I'll see you in my next video.